Elena wiped the sweat from her brow as she balanced 3 plates of greasy burgers and fries on her arm, weaving through the crowded tables of Benny's diner like a pro. It was another endless shift in the heart of downtown Chicago, where the neon sign flickered outside like a tired heartbeat, and the air smelled of coffee and regret. At 28, Elena had dreams that felt as distant as the stars she could barely see through the city's smoke. Dreams of becoming a doctor, of saving lives in crisp white coats instead of a stained apron. But life had a way of derailing plans. Her mother's illness had drained their savings, forcing Elena to drop out of medical school just shy of her degree. Now, she was here, smiling through the exhaustion, pocketing meager tips from rude customers who treated her like furniture. "Order up," barked Tony, the gruff cook, slamming another plate on the pass. Elena nodded, her mind drifting to the hidden skill she'd buried deep inside the paramedic training she'd completed in her early 20s, back when hope still burned bright. She'd aced every simulation, from CPR on dummies to stabilizing trauma victims, but without the full MD, it was just a certificate gathering dust in her tiny apartment. Still, those skills lingered, a quiet fire in her veins, waiting for a spark. The diner was her prison and her sanctuary. Benny's was part of a massive chain, Benny's Burgers nationwide, owned by some faceless corporation that churned out mediocrity across 50 states. Elena had heard rumors of the shy reclusive billionaire who never showed his fascia, but what did it matter? She was just trying to make rent. As the lunch rush peaked, a family of 4 complained about cold fries, and Elena apologized profusely, swapping them out with a genuine smile that hid her inner turmoil. Her feet ached in cheap sneakers, and her back screamed from hours on end, but she pushed through, remembering her late mother's words, "Strength isn't in what you have, Elena, it's in what you give." That afternoon, a regular named Mrs. Hargrove chatted her up at the counter, sharing stories of her grandchildren while sipping black coffee. Elena listened, her empathy a balm for the old woman's loneliness, but inside, she yearned for Moria, for the adrenaline of an emergency room, the satisfaction of mending broken bodies. Little did she know, fate was about to test that yearning. As the sun dipped lower, casting long shadows through the diner's windows, a sharp-dressed man in his 50s entered, looking out of place amid the vinyl booths and Formica counters. He ordered a simple club sandwich, his voice polite but distant, eyes scanning the room as if assessing it. Elena served him with her usual efficiency, not noticing the subtle Rolex peeking from his sleeve or the way he observed the staff's hustle. The man ate quietly, but midway through, he clutched his chest, his face turning ashen. Gasps rippled through the diner as he slid from his booth, collapsing in a heap. Panic erupted. The customers screamed. Tony froze in the kitchen doorway, but Elena's training kicked in like muscle memory. She dropped her tray, rushing to his side, checking for a pulse. It was faint, erratic signs of a cardiac arrest. "Call 911. She shouted, her voice cutting through the chaos like a knife. No defibrillator in sight. This was a budget diner, after all, but Elena's mind raced. She'd read about improvised methods in her old textbooks, ways to use everyday items in a pinch. Grabbing a nearby extension cord and a pair of metal tongs from the kitchen, she maneuvered a crude shocking device, insulating her hands with rubber gloves. It was risky, unorthodox, but she had no choice. Positioning the man's body, she delivered a jolt, her heart pounding as wildly as his refused to. The diner held its breath, time stretching into eternity. On the third try, he gasped, color returning to his cheeks. Paramedics arrived minutes later, praising her quick thinking as they loaded him onto a stretcher. Elena stood there, adrenaline fading, hands trembling now that the crisis was over. Whispers filled the air. Who was she? How did she know what to do? But Elena just wanted to finish her shift, unaware that the man she'd saved was no ordinary customer. Back in the kitchen, Tony clapped her on the back, calling her a hero, but she brushed it off. just doing what anyone would," she muttered, though deep down, she felt a flicker of pride, the first in years. As closing time neared, Elena cleaned tables, her mind replaying the event. What if she'd failed? What if her hidden skill hadn't surfaced? The questions haunted her, but so did the bills piling up on her kitchen table. Rent was due, her car needed repairs, and her younger brother, Marco, was counting on her to help with his college fees. Life as a waitress was a grind, endless loops of serving, smiling, surviving. Yet, tonight felt different, a crack in the monotony, a reminder of who she could be. Little did she know, the man she'd saved, Alexander Voss, the elusive CEO of Benny's Burgers nationwide, was already plotting his gratitude from his hospital bed. He'd built the chain from a single shack 30 years ago, amassing a fortune while staying out of the spotlight, but a brush with death changes a man. As Elaine walked up the diner, the city lights twinkling like distant promises, she had no idea her life was about to pivot. The next day dawned with the same routine, alarm blaring at 5 a.m., cold shower in her cramped bathroom, bus ride to work. But whispers followed here, co-workers eyeing her with newfound respect, customers asking about the miracle waitress. Tony even slipped her an extra 20 from the tip jar, winking. "You earned it, kid." Elena smiled faintly, but doubt crept in. Was this a fluke, or a sign to chase her dreams again? She thought of re-enrolling in med school, but the costs loomed like mountains. During her break, she scrolled her phone, seeing news alerts about the incident. Hero waitress saves diner patron's life. Her face was blurred in the photos, but the story was viral. Comments flooded in, "She's amazing. Benny's should promote her." Elena chuckled, dismissing it as fleeting fame. But across town, in a sleek hospital suite, Alexander Voss watched the same clip on his tablet, his assistant hovering nearby. "Find her," he instructed, voice firm despite the four in his arm. "I owe that woman everything." Voss wasn't just the CEO, he was a widower, a philanthropist in secret, funding scholarships for underprivileged youth. Elena's act had reminded him of his late wife, a nurse who'd saved him emotionally years ago. As the day wore on, Elena served a rowdy group of construction workers, their jokes lightening her mood. One tipped generously, saying, "Heard about yesterday, you're a legend." She blushed, deflecting. But inside, the hidden skill stirred, demanding more. That evening, as rain pattered against the diner's windows, a sleek black car pulled up outside. A suited man entered, asking for Elena by name. Her heart skipped. Was it trouble? Lawsuits flashed in her mind. But the man handed her a card. "Mr. Voss requests her presence at the hospital. He says thank you isn't enough." Elena's world tilted. Who was Voss? Why her? She agreed, curiosity overriding fear. The ride was silent, the city blurring past. At the hospital, she was ushered into a private room where Voss sat up in bed, looking far from the collapsing stranger. "You saved my life," he said, eyes warm. "But I want to know, who are you, really?" Elena hesitated, then poured out her story, the dropped dreams, the paramedic past, the daily struggles. Voss listened, nodding. "Talent like yours shouldn't be wasted flipping burgers." He revealed his identity then, the CEO bombshell dropping like a mick. Elena's jaw dropped. "The chain's owner? Here?" But Voss wasn't done. "I'm offering you a full scholarship to finish med school, and a position in our corporate health program." Tears welled in her eyes. It was too good, too surreal. As she left, promise in hand, Elena felt the weight lifting. But this was just the beginning of the real transformation awaited. Elena's mind reeled as she stepped out of the hospital into the cool Chicago night, the CEO's card clutched in her hand like a golden ticket. Alexander Voss, The man behind Benny's empire had just upended her reality with an offer that sounded like a fairy tale: full funding for med school, a mentorship in corporate wellness, and even a stipend to ease her financial burdens. But doubt not at her. Was this pity, or genuine recognition of her hidden skill? She hailed a cab, the city's lights streaking by as she replayed the conversation. Voss had shared his own story, rising from poverty, building the chain through sheer grit, but losing touch with the front lines. "You reminded me why I started Thesa, to help people," he'd said. Elena arrived home to her modest apartment, where Marco was crashing on the couch, textbooks scattered. "Sis, you look like you won the lottery," he teased. She told him everything, his eyes widening. "Take it. This is your shot." Sleep evaded her that night, dreams mixing medical scenarios with diner chaos. The next morning, she called the number on the card, accepting tentatively. Voss's assistant arranged everything: enrollment at her old university, tuition paid, even a relocation package if needed. But Elena insisted on finishing her shifts at Benny's. Loyalty ran deep. Word spread like wildfire through the diner. Tony high-fived her, customers cheered. "Our girl's going places." But not everyone was thrilled. The jealous co-workers muttered about favoritism. Elena ignored them, focusing on the future. Her first class back was anatomy, the familiar scent of textbooks intoxicating. Professors remembered her talent, welcoming her warmly. Between lectures and shifts, she honed her skills, volunteering at a free clinic where her paramedic background shone. One evening, saving a child from choking with the Heimlich, she felt alive again. Voss checked in weekly, their calls evolving into mentorship. He shared business insights, she offered ground-level perspectives on employee wellness. "Your chain could use on-site first aid training," she suggested. He listened, implementing changes chain-wide. Months blurred into a whirlwind. Elena aced exams, her grades stellar. Marco landed a scholarship too, inspired by her. But challenges arose. Med school's rigor tested her, late nights blending study with memories of her mother. A particularly grueling rotation in the herb brought flashbacks, stabilizing a heart attack victim, her hand steady as in the diner. "You're a natural," the attending said. Voss visited the university, incognito, watching her present a case study. Pride swelled in him. She'd become the daughter he never had. As graduation neared, Elena reflected on her journey from struggling waitress to budding doctor. The hidden skill that saved Voss had saved her too. But twists lingered. Rumors of corporate espionage at Benny's surfaced, a rival chain poaching secrets. Voss confided in Elena, valuing her fresh eyes. "Help me investigate. Your intuition is sharp." She dove in, balancing finals with sleuthing. Posing as a consultant, she uncovered a disgruntled manager leaking recipes. Confronting him in a tense meeting, her poise honed from diner diplomacy sealed the deal. The culprit was fired, loyalty restored. Voss beamed, "You're invaluable." Graduation day arrived, cap and gown a symbol of triumph. Voss attended, front row, applauding loudest as she crossed the stage. Post-ceremony, he pulled her aside. "Elena, I'm promoting you to head of health initiatives for the chain. 6 figures, full autonomy." Tears flowed. It was more than a job, it was purpose. She accepted, hugging him like family. The diner threw a party, Tony toasting, from plates to patients cheers. Elena addressed the crowd, "Never hide your light, it might just save someone." As confetti fell, she realized the full circle from saving Voss to transforming lives, including her own. Years later, Elena ran wellness programs nationwide, training staff in first aid, her story inspiring recruits. Voss retired, passing the torch, but their bond endured. Elena married a fellow doctor, had kids who knew her as the supermom with hidden skills. Looking back, that fateful diner shift was the pivotal moment fate intervened. She visited Benny's often, ordering a club sandwich, smiling at the plaque, in honor of Elena Ruiz, hero waitress turned leader. Life's twists, she mused, are the best stories. And so, her journey proved, hidden talents, when revealed, can rewrite destinies.